Okay, so if you're watching this, then you have some experiences and some beliefs about this awakening of consciousness, this rising of energy. And there's many terms to describe this, but the most recent one that I heard that fits the description really well is that we're moving from a third density into a fourth density consciousness and onto a fifth density consciousness and up the scale to a sixth and then the seventh, and you start to blend in with everything in the field. You become one with everything, the universe, and not just the universe, but what contains the universe, the absolute beyond everything that creates everything, and everything is contained within. Now, this is really awesome stuff, and a lot of people have experienced popping out of their body and then experiencing that feeling of being connected and then coming back and then having to reintegrate and orientate. And from what I gather is that as we move into this fourth and fifth and sixth densities, things are going to become a lot weirder, a lot more interesting, a lot easier to create and manifest. We're going to see people, automatically developing psychic ability, like telepathy, teleportation, levitation, telekinesis. And this may sound fanciful, but in the context of the simulation theory, which I think is a very useful frame to work within, and science is starting to catch up and either prove or at least allude to that we're actually in a simulation, some kind of simulation, or what we can best describe as a simulation, or more like a lucid dream. And reality will start to become more malleable, more pliable, and much easier to work with and influence. And so in this new density, which is like, getting softer and all the time, and maybe you've already experienced, the beginnings of telepathy, where you can start to really become empathic and sense what people are about to say and what they're thinking and feeling. Maybe your bullshit detector is right off the chart now, and no one can really slip anything by you that doesn't make sense to you on a deeper level. And this is all, I think, is great. We're moving into this new future world where everyone's becoming more and more connected, but not in a Facebook social media sense, but actually, we're becoming more connected with each other. We're seeing the reflection of ourselves in each other, and instead of being in this third density power base where we're trying to control and stand over people to get what we want because of a belief in lack, what we're doing now is we're moving into this abundant, heart-centered unity consciousness, for lack of a better term, where we are seeing that everything is us. You, me, the environment, it's all you. Just like if you're inside a simulation, a computer simulation, and virtual reality is a very good metaphor for this, is that everything that you're perceiving in there is actually you. You are the environment, you are the characters in the environment, you're the storyline, you're the body that you're in experiencing the game, and you're the programmer and the writer of the game too. And so now, as we move into these new levels of consciousness, the rules of physics and reality begin to shift and change and become the veils start to drop, and it becomes a lot more, a lot less restrictive. So this is all wonderful, this is great, but how can we set ourselves up for this, to accept it and to really start to take advantage of the new openings and the veils dropping as they drop and the upgrades as they come in? So one of the things that I'm seeing on a mass consciousness level is, which is really obvious to me, is that in the media, in the movies like the Marvel Universe is really starting to explode. Like, it is the highest grossing films today. They're the most popular. Everyone wants to see them. And it's all training our minds to accept the possible potentials of people who have supernatural gifts. People who have just been able to hack the matrix, basically, and find that by having different approaches, beliefs, frames to perceive reality gives you a different reality. Simple as that. So little things like when you get into accessing telepathy, you're looking at being able to project your conscious awareness outside of your body. Now, that sounds all really woo-woo at first, but we're doing it all the time on our phones. We're doing it all the time on our computers. We're having phone calls and FaceTime and text messaging and with people from all over the world at all different times, simultaneously, in groups and individually, and we're accessing information from everywhere, and we're sending information everywhere. So this isn't really that big of a leap. However, to really tune into this, because there isn't much real, from what I'm seeing at least, there isn't a lot of software out there for people to embrace and start to tinker and work with, is that it's all very esoteric and it's very woo-woo and new age, and which is all great because we need to start somewhere, but we need to progress beyond that. So one conversation that I had with a friend about remote viewing, which is like accessing, let's for example say a webcam somewhere that's online. You tap into that webcam and all of a sudden on your screen you can see whatever's in that room. And we were talking about what was a hit and what was a miss, and how do you know if you've actually hit the target, and especially if you're practicing on your own and things like that. And he said to me, all right, let's have a little play here. And we were having lunch in a park somewhere, at a cafe, on a table. There was lots of noise and distraction, and he said to me, all right, I'm thinking of an image. I've got an image in my mind. I'm just going to hold the image and meditate on it, and you're going to tune in and you're going to tell me what you see. So I tuned in, I relaxed, and the trick is not to judge what you're seeing and to just spit it out there and see what feedback you get, and then allow yourself to tune in to the different bits of information, and then tune it in until you get more accurate with it. Now, this was not the expected outcome that I had. I saw a white porcelain, it looked like a big white porcelain that filled up my field of view, and I saw this crack in it, like I described it as a piece of marble. I can see marble, and I can see the crack in the marble, and I can see all the little imperfections in the marble, and it looked like a lightning bolt sort of thing, but not quite as what you would draw one if you were a symbol as a kid. And I was like, well, that's it. That's what I'm seeing. And he went, whoa. He says, well, here's what I was thinking of. And so he drew this image, and it was a cue ball on a pool table. And in his image, the pool table was the main frame, and you saw a little pool, the white ball on there with all the other balls around there. And he said, I'd say that's a hit. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? Like, well, there's no marble anywhere. And he says, no. What I see there is you were so zoomed in on the white ball that you couldn't see anything else, and you got so zoomed in that you saw the imperfections. And it just blew my mind, because I thought, okay, So it's not about whether I have the ability or not, because I know my beliefs say that everyone has these abilities because it's hardwired into the wetware, the hardware of being a human being, a brain and a body, which is this advanced supercomputer inside this amazing biological, self-healing, self-replicating, evolving, adaptable machine that has its own autopilot software that you don't even have to be conscious of for it to function and carry out and protect itself and feed itself and live out one of a normal life from what we've been taught as a normal life. And once we start to get access to the software and the operating system, we can start and we can learn about it. We can start to take the autopilots off, and we can start to actually use these innate abilities that are in everybody. And so what I found in that conversation was that my settings were my target was right on. It was so on. It was like, if you're trying to find the target of a bullseye on a dartboard, you're so zoomed in that you can see, all you can see is the hole that inside the bullseye that was left from the dart previously that hit it. And but you're so zoomed in you can't even see what you're looking at. So I realized that I needed to work on my zoom in and zoom out, and I needed to start to play with the settings of the ability. So this is what leads me to what I think is a really big field that's emerging, that some people are positioning themselves for, and some are really good practitioners of this, but it hasn't really been embraced yet. But I see it being like the IT industry emerging very soon. And this is where there's going to be a lot of training and programs and apparatuses and devices and equipment to help you, if you're not already focused in that area and playing around with it yourself, to help you sharpen your abilities and to get a handle on wielding these abilities. Because what I feel now is that as this consciousness emerges and this energy starts to rise, is that it's gonna mess with a lot of people, because you're gonna have, if you're naturally telepathic but you don't realize that, when this energy starts to amp up and all your abilities are amplified, you're gonna start to see and feel and experience all the information that's around you that you've been holding at bay all this time. And it could drive you a little nuts. Okay, so instead of just thinking, because no one's telling you what's going on or what's happening to you, you go to a doctor, who's in conventional 3D mindset, and they're going to prescribe you drugs to sedate you to turn off the ability. Now, we don't want you to turn off the ability. We want you to get a handle on the ability, because obviously it's there for a reason. Otherwise, you wouldn't be naturally predisposed to that ability. So this is like your superpower emerging. Okay, and as the frequency of the reality starts to amp up and the veils seem to drop, your brain's going to switch into a different frequency, and you're naturally going to have access to these abilities. But like in my story, if you're so zoomed in on the information that you're receiving, you're not even going to be able to interpret what it is. Now, at first you're like, you rack your brain going, what the hell am I seeing? Is it a piece of marble with a crack in it? What's that mean? And then you're going to look up dream analysis and what does marble mean in my dream? And does this mean it's something to do with the statue? And am I being fixed in my reality? All that sort of shit. And really all you needed to do was know what you were looking at, and then you could work on the zoom feature inside your telepathic remote viewing ability. It'd zoom out and you can see, oh, I'm doing it. And then you could move on and start practicing this ability and getting a real good handle on it.